And now it's time to preview an upcoming game with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to do another Kickstarter preview. This time we're going to look at Larceny by Waning Gibbous Games, which is a game for 3 or more players in which each player is going to be a member of a crew going on a heist, trying to steal an item of high value. And you're going to do so in the style of a game like Apples to Apples with a lot of storytelling. But before I go into that too much, how about we just take a look at what you get inside of this box and how the game plays, and at the end I'll sum it all up for you. So here you can see the components for Larceny all laid out. Now just a reminder that these are prototype quality components. These are not final production components, so what you see here will represent what you'll get in a final copy of the game, but may not look identical. Now I've set this up for 4 players. We can see 3 players with hands here, and then 1 player's hand is over here. In this game, the players are going to represent a crew that is trying to pull off a heist. So we are criminals, and we are going to be trying to steal something. Each round, 1 player, the player that's over here, whose hand is aside, is going to be the chief, the leader of the crew, and this will rotate between players each round. Kind of like in Apples to Apples, one person chooses the winner of each round, and that's going to be the same for this, except they're going to narrate and choose the winners of the round. So, one player will sit out this round, and they'll be narrating the scene. The other players are going to be trying to figure out how to best break in and steal the item in question, but they're going to have to get past a couple different things. So, we have our crew. The leader of the crew is the chief. The rest of the crew is, well, the crew. And then they're going to be trying to get to one thing. And that thing, each round, is going to be called the score. So each round there will be a different score. And we'll flip this over. This round, the score is the Mona Lisa. So we're going to be breaking into the Louvre. And we're going to be trying to steal the Mona Lisa from the Louvre. But as with any type of heist, there's always a catch. Several things can go wrong. And in the basic version of this game, 2 things will go wrong each time you try and pull off a heist. So for example, this time we'll find out that there are numerous forgeries of the Mona Lisa. So we've got several different things, several different copies of the score, the Mona Lisa, laying around the Louvre. Why? Well, perhaps they're trying to ward off people who are trying to steal it, and they've taken it in for cleaning, and now they've got several different forgeries of it laying around so they can prevent a theft if someone were to break in. In addition to the numerous forgeries, we'll find out that they have bodyguards protecting it. So they've got bodyguards in the room where the Mona Lisa is being cleaned, and there are several copies around. You don't know which one is which, and you have to get past the people guarding it anyway. Now, each person is going to have a hand of cards. So we'll see that we have 3 different hands here, 1 for each of the 3 players who are going to be pulling off the heist. In these hands of cards, you're going to have things that are called fixes. Each one of these cards is going to be some type of gadget or some type of technique, maybe an animal or whatever the case may be, that's going to help you solve these catches. And for each one of the catches in the heist, you're going to have to pull 1 card out of your hand here and play it face down in front of that catch. That's going to be your solution to that problem. So we'll see here that this person has a hand of cards. They have blackmail and a rubber mask, a crowbar, some loaded dice, squid and fake blood. They have a vintage Italian scooter, and they have the ability to bribe. So we'll see they have all of these different options that they can play from their hand. And they're going to need to play 1 for each of these. So maybe they decide that it's best to blackmail the bodyguards in order to find out which one of these forgeries is real. So maybe they put this over here. They're going to use blackmail to find out which one of the forgeries is real. And they're going to bribe the guards in order to get past them. So they play 1 card into each pile, and they have decided for their turn. This person here has a fake medical team. They have a network of urchin informants. Ooh, I like that one. They have a paintball gun. They have some, I can't even see this here, bathysphere. They have a monkey, a gun loaded with blanks, and some hallucinogenic lipstick. So maybe they decide to use these 2 here. They're going to use the hallucinogenic lipstick to get past the bodyguards, and they're going to use the network of urgent informants to find out which one of the forgeries is, well, which one's not a forgery, so that they can steal the appropriate one. And they place them in those 2 piles. Finally, we have our last player here, who's going to have a fire extinguisher, a forklift, a zipline gun, an RC helicopter, an RC car, well that's convenient, a glow stick, and a lab coat. I like those last 2. So let's say that they use the lab coat to get in past our bodyguards. Perhaps they're masquerading as a scientist who's on a team trying to help preserve the Mona Lisa. And they're going to have a glow stick, so they'll place this into the forgeries area. They're going to use the glow stick to find the secret marking on the real Mona Lisa to prove that that's the real one, and of course, take it. After this is done, the player who is the chief is going to shuffle up all of these cards so that they don't know which one was played by each player. So they'd shuffle up these piles, and then they'd take one of the 2 piles, and they'd go over the cards. Now, at this point, of course, it's up to the players to decide how they want to play. They can either debate these, they can try and argue for their own, or try and trick the chief into choosing their card by arguing for someone else's, or they can just remain in silence and let the chief try and figure out which one they want to choose, because which one is the best answer. So the chief will go over these, and maybe he chooses the network of urgent informants as the best answer for how to determine which one of the forgeries is actually the Mona Lisa. So they're going to give this card, they're going to actually give the numerous forgeries card, the win, and they're going to find out who played that card. They're going to give that player this card as a score point, and that will go to the player, and they'll keep track of their score in that manner. They will then go to the other pile of fixes, which is for the bodyguards, and they'll decide which one of these is the appropriate one. Now, let's say they chose bribe, and they would give the bodyguards to the player who had played bribe, and that player now has 1 point. Nobody gets the score, because the only way to get the score is to get both of the catches. So, if you were the player that played both of the catches, you played both the network of urgent informants, and let's say they chose the hallucinogenic lipstick, then you're going to get both of the cards, and you're going to get the score, which is going to be an extra point for you at the end of that round. If nobody accomplishes the feat of getting both catches by playing the appropriate fixes and winning both of them, then the score is simply discarded. No one gets it, and you go on to a next round with everybody drawing back up to 7 cards in hand, the chief rotating, and the next player taking the role of the chief for the next heist, which would be for the crown jewels in this case. So you have a different item to do, and you're going to have different catches. So we have dangerously competent security consultants, and we have pressure sensors that we would have to solve with our fixes. And you'll see that these are going to change, and the score will be different. The catches will be different each time, and it's going to give you some variety to the game. Now, in addition to all the variety you've seen insofar as the things in the catch deck and the fix deck, as well as the score deck, they've included multiple different gameplay variants in the rulebook so that you can customize the game to your own desires. But they have several different scenarios you can use to try and keep the game fresh for yourself, or different ways you can play for different play styles. So, for example, they have one called the Best Laid Plans, or even the Worst Laid Plans, where the chief will reveal a score and 2 catches. So we have a flash drive full of Defense Department secrets, a dangerously competent security consultant, and the pressure sensors, like we saw previously. But each player is going to lay out their own plan as to how to get this thing. So, for example, each player will have 7 cards, and they're going to go ahead and they're going to lay out a plan from 2 to 5 cards face down, describing how they're going to break in and get the flash drive full of Defense Department secrets past the pressure sensors and the security consultants. So they can lay up 2 to 5 of these cards from their hand to try and describe that. So maybe they say they're going to use some duct tape and a tiger, and they're going to also dupe someone, and they can stop right there. Let's just say they're going to use those 3 things in order to break in. Each player would lay out the same plan, but they'd have their own cards, and they could use up to 5. So they would flip these over and they'd say, all right, well, in order to get past the pressure sensors, I'm actually going to tape duct tape around my hands. I'm going to stick to the walls, and since the pressure sensors are only on the floor, I'm going to be able to get by them without ever touching the ground. Now I'm in past those pressure sensors, and we're good to go. After that, I have a tiger with me, and the tiger's also duct taped, of course, on the wall. He's duct taped across the wall, and he's going to threaten the dangerously competent security consultants. But of course, there's more than one, so the tiger can't take care of all of them. He can only take care of 1 or 2 at a time. So I'm going to dupe the rest of them into thinking that I'm on their side. I'm trying to get rid of the tiger. The tiger's scary. We're going to try and, kind of confuse them by the whole pandemonium going on, duct tape tiger. I'm going to get in past them, they're going to be confused, and I'm going to grab the flash drive full of Defense Department secrets and make my way out. And so this will be my plan. It's a little bit ludicrous, but somebody else may have a better plan. And it's up to the chief to decide which plan is best and award the cards appropriately. So that's one scenario. Another one would be, of course, the worst laid plans, which would be an even more ludicrous plan here that is going to be still successful in getting the score. Can you make up something worse than this plan that would still get you the Defense Department secrets? And there are several different other ones, but a lot of them range around, different team variants, ways to tell stories, or various other things that are going to make the game an interesting experience for you. Well, there you have it. That is Larceny by Waning Gibbous Games, a game that's really going to cater to people who are creative or funny, who are willing to get in there and argue for their point and, best describe how they're going to use their fixes to get to the score by getting past the various catches. And so I think that if you have a wild imagination, or if you have a group that likes to discuss, it's really going to be a game that's going to be enjoyable for you. I mean, how can I use duct tape to get past pressure sensors? Well, if you think about it a little bit and you have a creative imagination, stick to the walls. Why not? And maybe you take your tiger along with you because, hey, you got to get him in there somehow. So I think if you have a group that likes that sort of thing, it's going to be an awesome game for you. If you have a group that's a little bit more reserved, it does have gameplay styles that are going to cater to that as well. Maybe you can work together as a group to try and describe the scenario, such as some of the games that put one team versus another to try and best describe how they're going to get past the various catches to the score. So it's got a lot of variety. It's got some interesting gameplay, and it's got, of course, a good scenario for trying to put together fun stories leading to solving these heists. Now, if that sounds good to you, check it out on Kickstarter. They're looking for pledges now, and I'm sure they'd appreciate your support.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Yeah?